What's going on, everybody? And with Guns N' Roses set to play Brazil this week, I want to look back at some of their previous concerts on the Use Your Illusion tour in Brazil. So they played Brazil a total of 6 times. Actually, they were supposed to play it 6 times. They played actually 5 times. There was one show that was canceled in 1992 because of poor weather. But the first show that Guns N' Roses actually played as part of the Use Your Illusion tour, I guess if you want to call it, was the Rock in Rio Festivals, Rock in Rio 2, back in January of 1991. They played 2 nights. Both nights were filmed and shown on Brazilian TV, and there is live footage of the full concert on YouTube. Some of the footage I've seen, they've gotten some parts of night one and then some parts of night two, and there's some footage that they didn't show. But one of the most notable events for this concert was that this was actually the first concert that Dizzy Reed and Matt Sorum both played with Guns N' Roses. The first show they ever played together with the band in front of 140,000 people, which was the largest crowd that Guns ever played as part of the Use Your Illusion tour. They wouldn't end up playing a crowd bigger than that until 10 years later when they ended up playing Rock in Rio 3. I think that they played to about 250,000 people, I think, at that show. So also as part of Guns' first shows in Brazil back then, they actually did a documentary which is up on YouTube. It's called 7 Days in Rio, and you'll see different interviews with Duff slash Matt, and you'll see the band rehearsing. There was also a number of interviews that Kurt Loder did from MTV with Axl, Izzy slash, and a couple of the other members too, which I've linked to all below. So any video I referenced in this video, they're all linked to down in the description box below. There was also some notable events about how crazy the fans were in terms of like how much they loved Guns N' Roses. So there was actually an event in 1991 where I guess some girls got a hold of where Axl was staying and they tried to get in touch with him, and he got so irritated that he ended up actually destroying one of the hotel phones. And he basically told everybody to F off, and he threw the phone and it exploded, but nobody got hurt. There was also rumors that a VJ from the local MTV station in Brazil had actually spent the night with Axl, and that I don't know if that was ever confirmed or not. I think at that point he this is probably before he was dating Stephanie Seymour. So the other thing that was really cool to know about the 1991 Rock in Rio shows is that Guns premiered a ton of Use Your Illusion stuff there, including Pretty Tied Up, Double Talk and Jive, Dead Horse, You Could Be Mine, as well as Estranged. And then there was one song that was played, which I don't believe they ever played again, which was Bad Apples, which was played the second night at Rock in Rio. And during the actual concert, the second night, Axl actually dedicated Civil War, which was also played, to the soldiers fighting in the Persian Gulf. And he also remarked during the first night that when they sang Estranged for the first time, that Axl said, "This will be the first time I've sang this song in a happy mood." So let's move on to 1992 shows. Now, what's interesting about the 1992 shows is that Guns played 3 nights in Brazil. They played in Sao Paulo all 3 nights. And all 3 shows were actually filmed by MTV, but they were never released for whatever reason. The only footage that's actually available from these shows is of yesterday's, the full performance. And then there's also, of course, I think there's a little bit of Double Talk and Jive that's available online as well. And then of the 3 nights Guns played in Brazil, there was only actually one night they actually made it through the entire concert without walking off stage or ending the show early. So the second night it was pretty tame, nothing major happened. They did their normal set list and finished the show. But then it wasn't until the other 2 nights that they had to stop the show partway through because of a fight that broke out during Live and Let Die, and then during You Could Be Mine, people were throwing stuff on stage, and then during Paradise City, I think during the second part of the second verse, Matt Sorum got hit with a stone, and basically Axl said goodbye and F you assholes and walked off stage. And then the very last night of the show, it just seemed like the very last night in Brazil, it just seemed like the band was tired, they weren't having a good time, and Axl basically showed up 5 minutes before the show was supposed to start, and then he left immediately after the concert. Like, he just left the stadium, didn't hang out with the band at all, and they actually ended the show after knocking on Heaven's Door. They didn't even play Paradise City, which they typically did back then. And then talking about the chair incident that happened, this is the photo of Axl that was actually printed in every newspaper the next day, of him throwing a chair. So what had happened the previous year, like I said, when they played Rock in Rio, Axl had apparently thrown a telephone that had exploded. So the hotel sort of got wise to this, and they basically screwed everything into the wall, everything in the bedroom into the wall, so he couldn't pick it up and throw it, but they forgot the chairs. So there was a bunch of journalists and fans who were harassing Axl and basically asking about him. So Axl got pissed off, took this chair and threw it into the hotel lobby, and apparently it didn't hurt anybody, but I think the authorities were ready to charge Axl with endangering human lives, but I don't think anything came of the charges. There were some rumors that he could have spent a year in prison had he been actually convicted. And then the final thing I'll end with, guys, is there's a couple interviews with Matt Sorum and Duff from 1992 on MTV in Brazil. And then there's also some other news reports too now. The interviews themselves, they're actually in English, but the actual TV reports are in Portuguese, I believe. So that does it for today's video. Let me know your guys' thoughts. And as always, make sure you subscribe for the latest Guns N' Roses news. Take care.